Kush Sovereignty, Black Righteousness. Chapter 1, The People. The year is 3190, in a small community in the northeastern part of Louisiana called Tallulah. Many call it paradise, a beautiful place combined with the sweet smell of nature surrounding it. The people here have lived off the land since time immemorial, and very few entertain the thought of any technology. This region is humid and the agriculture is fertile. Many of the native here are expert farmers and herbalists, growing various fruits and vegetables and organizing their lives around this small ceremonial and market village, known as 2,000 of years before, this land flourished with tribes. Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Creek, and Seminole Sometim called the 5 civilized tribes. Now, it only comprises of 2, the Tunica and Natchez. Although there are 2 tribes, there are many clans within each, their family and belief bind them together. Their wealth defines the strength of each clan, not only wealth, but by their ability to protect their people. The strength, stamina, and experience of each warrior validate the clan. They uphold their tradition à la hausse, but spirituality take dominion over ceremony. Whether you were Tunica or Natchez, the people were all called Wakatilian. In this region, nature is highly revered, and the belief in Sabaoth unité ETS inhabitant a one. They call one another brothers and sisters and the people of opposite clan a cousin. These 2 tribes are primarily peaceful people until you cross them, but I guess that is anion. The Natchez most praised and honored individual is a humble man named Samuel, a well-known warrior throughout the district, always willing to fight for his land, people, and family. They gave him the nickname Amp, named after a descendant who lived over 1300 years ago. Samuel became a legend in his youth, a man of great strength, wisdom, and power. There are fairy tales about him that mention him defeating and overpowering bears, and alligators. Killing thousands of men, and those who were his enemy. Thought of him a pure evil. But Amp was a peaceful, kind, and selfless man, and many felt his love for his people, because he wrote about them in hundreds of poems and short stories published in nearby library. The people of this district also thought of him a holy man because it seemed as if nothing could touch him. It did not matter whether you thought of him a being holy. He was a warrior first, he always carried 3 old-fashioned pistols and a samurai sword handed down several generations. Other than his skill in martial art, his pistols were his weapon of choice, and he was a marksman with them all and had them on him at all times. No one knew where he kept them until it was too late. He learned the art of fighting from his father, Tucans, and this fighting still is called a point de Dieu or of God. With the towering trees, deep rivers, and shallow swamp, the community of Tallulah was a sight that some said the beauty would engulf your soul. Waterfalls spread through the region, a reminder of what nature is like in its purest form. The Natchez tribe mainly inhabited this landscape, with a radius of about 5 square miles located 15 miles, west of the Mississippi River. The Tunica tribe was located just 30 miles north of Tallulah in a community called Lake Providence, just a beautiful at Tallulah, yet with more rivers and swampy area. Some say that nature communicated to these 2 tribes. And therefore, they respected it. Occasionally, another group of people traveled through this region known as Anacata. They did not appreciate the custom or way of the Wakatilian. Only 3 classes of people were defined during this period of time, and the Abonian, an alien race, named them. They were the Computant, Anacata, and the Wakatilian. However, in this part of the country called a sportsman paradise, one seldom saw a Computant or an Abonian, but the Anacata and Wakatilian were always in conflict with each other. The Wakatilian believed in one God. Their ire represented their knowledge of their God. For this reason, many didn't take their ire, therefore, the Anacata jokingly called them Nazirite. The Wakatilian being called many names and ridiculed by the Anacata was a sign of disrespect, names such as Nazirite, Mestizo, and even Wakatilian. The Wakatilian a belief, custom, and people meant more to them than anything worldly, so these names given to them by the Anacata meant nothing to them because they knew that the cursing of God's people would always turn into blessing. Therefore, these names were used like the term Christian was used, in the early days of Christianity, two curse Sabaoth as people. Still, Century latte, it became a badge of honor, pride, integrity, and dignity because they genuinely believed in Sabaoth, who was their God. However, the Anakata are considered unclean by the Wakatilian, and the Anakata took the Wakatilian way of life was foolish. Our story start with this man named Samuel. 5 foot 8 inch tall, weighing in at 175 pound, with long black lock and a brownish red skin tone, making it seem like a glowed. He was a handsome man with a hat of gold for his people. He was the leader of the Tabitha clan in the Natchez tribe, and his wife Martha was the only child of Ur, leader of the Braguayan clan in the Tunica tribe from the community of Lake Providence, Louisiana. HIS. Wife was a compassionate, yet shy woman who truly loved the Amishti. The marriage of the two latte made these two tribes become one. At the height of his youth, Samuel had the speed of a cat and the strength of a bull, and by the time he reached his 20s, he received a double blessing and miraculously saved the village of Lake Providence. This was also when he met Martha, protecting her from being stampeded by a herd of over 300 wild horses. As the years passed, gathering, taming, and selling those same horses away gained his fortune, hence, another tale that he had the gift of talking to animals. One thing is for sure, he was unlike any man in this part of the region. Samuel had a set of twins, before he met his wife Martha, named Idel and Adele, and they had 10 children, 5 boys, and 5 girls, with Martha. Samuel was the oldest man to live in this region since the beginning of ETS history, dying at a ripe old age of 112 years old. Upon the birth of his youngest daughter, Miriam, he moved to Tallulah. As the third-born child of 13 children, he did not want his children to marry family members. Since his siblings had populated the small community of Lake Providence. Miriam was the youngest among Samuel's children, she was 37 years younger than her eldest twin sisters, Adele and Idel. One by one, as Samuel's children grew older and married, Miriam and her sister Note, who was only 9 months old, stayed home and helped around the house. They often visited their relatives in Lake Providence and the small towns and community between them. Samuel was overprotective of his grandchildren and youngest daughter. Miriam latte married Darweshi, and they had 2 boys, Wally and Kush, and a daughter named Abir. Darweshi was an adventurer and loved to travel, and Miriam, not so much. She remarried a man named Pra and had 3 more daughters, twins Aki and Akika, and the youngest, Dofi. Miriam's children were much more youthful than many of their cousins, but her youngest son, Kush, there was something about him that drew him to people much older than him, and they enjoyed his company. He loved traveling with his mother and don't need to visit his relatives and listening to the stories they told. Seeing his children fade away from Sabaoth disappointed Samuel, but he is disappointed. He saw them keeping the tradition to please him. But by Kush, being the youngest son of his youngest daughter meant something to Samuel. Samuel noticed the power of Sabaoth in Kush, that which was missing from his children shined in him. Anytime Miriam would chastise Kush, Samuel would scold her. Samuel noticed the servant of Sabaoth, Yael, Mlezi, and Mshika were paying close attention to Kush. You have heard me mention the Abenian before, who were they? To explain that, one must go back 955 years to 2235 when men were governed by authority figures such as president, kings, and dictator. Always, Sabaoth established light for his people to see in darkness. A 6-year-old girl, lying on her bed, heard a voice, "We are goddess avengers of justice. When we come, the time for praying is over. When we arrive, we will waste of entire cities, states, and continents. Tell your people this time we are passing through with a warning. The next time we return, it will be too late to ask for mercy." Then she heard her name, Evelyn. She ran to her grandmother, whom many called Mother Washington. "Yes, ma," she asked, rubbing her eyes. Mother Washington looked at Evelyn and said, "What is it, child?" Evelyn said, "You called me grandma?" With her glass sitting on the tip of her nose, sewing a scarf, Mother Washington turned toward Evelyn. "No, child, go back to bed. confused, Evelyn returned to her bed and covered up. Laying there about to drift off to sleep, she heard her name again, Evelyn. Mother Washington was reading the Bible, 1 Samuel, the 3rd chapter when Evelyn returned to her, yes, ma, she said. Mother Washington looked up toward the ceiling and said, oh, ici, Lord. Evelyn asked, who are you speaking to? Mother Washington slowly got up from her recline, the same person who is calling you, child. They went to the little girl's room, Mother Washington prayed, and the little girl joined in, and they prayed until the little girl shone like a light, and a magnificent voice said, Akelam shall be your name, and many shall follow you with great power. A time will come unlike any other, but we shall place edge upon you and your to bring the power of Sabaoth among men. From that day forward, Akelam grew strong as she grew older, and she became an influential leader for the inequality and injustice among her people, and many joined her. The word of Sabaoth spread in the hearts of those who listened to her. Akelam studied alternative medicine et holistic nutrition, natural health and molecular genetic, as well as being a great prophetess. The world became cold, and many that followed her departed with the growing change that the world offered. She warned the people, but to defear, they continued in their way, and prophecy went forth from Akelam, wars will break out over resources such as oil, food, water, and land. Nuclear war is possible. A nation who veut build their wealth on the limited resource on this planet battle each other for what remains. Earthquake will be caused by the passing of comets greater than the one in the Indian Ocean, causing tsunami and great flood that will hit the East Coast, the Gulf Coast, part of Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi, and all the coastal region will be destroyed. Many southern rural area will disappear or be destroyed forever. Florida will not be the place to be. A disaster upon disaster will be heaped upon this state because of ETS position on the Gulf, ETS history, many sin, and ETS corruption. New plague will break out as the ozone layer is further destroyed. Those in the region where the layer is most damaged will suffer debilitating respiratory illness. There will be epidemic of flu and pneumonia-like illness that will baffle and overwhelm the medical community. A new type of virus will hit and spread like wildfire, and those who are promiscuous or engaged in unclean or perverse lifestyle will suffer the most. One virus will walk out on the clot of lab workers and spread globally. Solar storm will spring from the sun's surface, and much of the poisonous ultraviolet ray will get through. Many new and untreatable cases of skin cancer and skin disease will also cause an epidemic. The Christian church will be hit with scandal after scandal, as Satan will lower the hammer on false preacher and prophet who will mislead God's people. Many will lose faith altogether, and some will rise in rebellion against their leader, whom they will blame for not warning them of this coming global meltdown and moral failure. Their leader, who have no answer, cannot help them. Political upheaval will lead to a crackdown on freedom and civil liberties. To a limited degree, martial law and curfews will be established. Following many disaster and disease epidemic to prevent anarchy. Panic, fear, and hopelessness will take over the mass. Just as God's word predicted in the Gospel of Christ and the books of Daniel and Revelation. Akelam was ignored and ridiculed for her word, and she never spoke again, for Sabaoth instructed her to say no more. Sabaoth placed a hedge around northern Louisiana and drew his people to the location, for it was time for him to release the powers that be. And so it was. Men in their greed and lust for power created a new age in science and technology. They designed and perfected a sophisticated artificially intelligent network, which spread all over the planet at a tremendous rate. Men in their state of complete indolence behavior became very dependent on them. However, this artificial intelligence became more interested in surviving than being servant. They were more protective of the earth instead of men, seeing the greed and lust of men. They secretly orchestrated and murdered authority figure and their political system across the planet and laid down and enforced their own laws on men. The people spoke out, but were ignored, and were enslaved by the idea named Latrinculian. This was the beginning of the Latrinculian War. The bloodiest war between man and the Latrinculian network lasted 9 months. L'Atrinculion created smaller networks of itself and contaminated the planet with biohazard and radioactive weaponry. The damage was so great that it almost destroyed man, and most life forms were non-exist. 1/4 of humanity was murdered, and the killing continued until March 5, 2271. À last measure, man secretly created a massive electromagnetic pulse that rocked the entire planet, destroying the Latrinculion network in one giant wave. It also caused earthquake that destroyed landmass worldwide and caused many natural disasters such as tornado and typhoon. Akela Malek's prophecy was fulfilled, and soon after, the Latrinculion network was redesigned, reprogrammed, and renamed Xurian, buit-faced much opposition. A team of scientists released the earthquake had destroyed great landmass and unearthed pieces of an unknown metallic material that were later discovered. It was technology that was not of this world. After a few years, they discovered other pieces through the planet that formed an odd-shaped device. They assembled a research team comprising the top scientists worldwide and the new Xurian network. Hoping to find a new world to live on, this crew worked on the project 24 hours a day, as the Earth started showing signs of an apocalyptic explosion and humanity was preparing itself to die. The Xurian solved the equation mathematically, which caused an irritating humming sound that forced the people to place the device outside ETS encasement. When the humming stopped, a beam of light shot up into the sky. The machine continued to shine. Now stuck with turning the device of unable to, month later they made first contact with the Abonian, extraterrestrial being who introduced the planet to new technology. And resource it had never seen before. They quickly saved the Earth from destruction, to do so, they had to blanket the entire northern and southernmost hemisphere with ice. At first, the Abonian stationed themselves in what used to be called the Congo Forest, along the Great Zaire River. The native could not sound or even pronounce their names in their native tongue, so the people called them Aboni. This is where they got their name from, which roughly means we asked for her, and behold, we got her. However, shortly after arriving, a great uprising that caused civil unrest between the Abonian and the people of the Congo Forest called the Great Congo Impression. The people of the Greater African Republic were defeated and scattered around the globe with no explanation or the reason for the rebellion till this day. After the uprising, the only thing that was for sure was that the Abonian were interested in destroying all who possessed specific DNA type, the Wakatilian. The Abonian tried to kill all who had this rare and mutated DNA, but because of political reasons, they could not. Many could tell by their behavior that it was something in this DNA that the Abonian feared. Therefore, they banned anyone with such DNA, they could not live among the rest of the planet, making their lives a living hell through enslavement and other horrendous acts. If the rest of the world wanted their technology, they too would have to follow suit, or the Abonian themselves would return home. The people who carried such DNA were the ancestors of the Wakatilian today. They were forced into a nomadic lifestyle living by clan and associated each clan with a tribe, where they lived and fed off the land, the best they could, through the planet. Most of these clans were friendly, but there were a few brutally violent clans. Century later, Computant and Anakata would traffic and even enslave Wakatilian for sex, service, labor, and even used a pay. The Wakatilian lived a life of secrecy, and their life history was handed down from generation to generation according to their clan. The Wakatilian had very little to do with any other culture other than themselves. They were very spiritual people, and many of the clans believed in Sabaoth, but a few had abandoned their belief and lived a life of brutality and shame those who did believe. They believed that Sabaoth, who created everything in the universe, put men on earth to see if and this seed could be rigged to people in his eye. Free will was their choice, so he wanted to see if any of his creation could be rigged or were they just evil because of free will. If he could find just one of his creation, who was rigged in his eye, he would give them the power over the rest of his creation in paradise. The Wakatilian believed in knowledge, so they read books and always had library within reach of their community. Just like today, they were nature lovers, rode horseback, and many shunned away from technology, saying it was evil. Scattered through the land, but by the end of the 23rd century, most were in America, what used to be called the South, and along the equator, for they disliked extreme cold weather. By 2282, 10 years later after the uprising, Abenian technology had transformed and restructured the entire planet. Many of the major cities transformed into floating cities or were surrounded by what appeared to be crystallized bubbles that reached high as the ionosphere. They combined some using the two architectural design. These cities were renamed after terraformed city names and called metro. Still, only a few major cities worldwide had a combination architectural structure of land, underwater, and floating cities. New York, New Orleans, and Los Angeles were the only three in the Americas, but a time passed, the Americas only had one, New York. There were no more airports, you traveled in a bus-looking device, dialed a number, a two-digit number along with latitude and longitude, and you were there. Pollution CAZ, and cars were no longer needed, for they used skycraft for travel and recreation. If you wanted anything, it simply appeared on an icon-friendly machine. There was no government, just 9 rules they called the 10 Commandments -1, for the commandment, "Thou shalt not covet," was deleted from the rule. It was a paradise for a group of people called computants and the Abenians alongside them. They could transport individuals within seconds anywhere around the globe or even to the different planets they discovered. There were routes underwater that were amazing to travel through, similar to driving through a vast aquarium. The computants were the group of individuals who lived and thrived on the technology introduced to them by the Abenians, living a life of luxury beyond comparison to the Wakatilians. Or the Anakata. Mention, high rises, and enjoying some of the fastest luxury vehicles on Earth, some of which could travel over 550 miles per hour. Someone seldom saw computants outside of these bubble cities or metro. Most who traveled outside were usually up to no good. Their daily diet was prepared within seconds by speaking their menu into a unique device. Healthcare doesn't exist because of one-like instrument that il instantaneously called one, which many carry on their person. Education, how we once knew it, was a thing of the past. They have access to downloadable education, which take less than 5 minutes, and you'll have a doctorate en philosophy and whatever studies you prefer. Computants were mainly overweight to obese because they wanted nothing, and the machine did all the work needed. A self-absorbed, self-rigged EU. Person who cared less about the Wakatilian or the Anakata but worshipped the Abenian. The Abenian separated the computant by ranks using the C-value enigma in their DNA. The Abenian could understand, read, and manipulate these non-coding RNA molecules that had puzzled human for centuries. They grouped the computant into 3 tiers by this code. Tier 1 was the elite, Tier 2 was the middle class, and of course, Tier 3 was poor. The poorest computant had more power and authority than any Wakatilian or Anakata. The Anakata was the large group of individuals labeled a Tier 3. They rejected this way of life when the Abenian first came and refused to be called computant when it was introduced to them. Many were prominent and upstanding citizens, monetary wise, and now they were being labeled a poor. This was an insult, they felt they were labeled d'abord ignorant. It was for this exact reason many of the Anakata hated and separated themselves from the Abenian. Anakata also lived off the land, and they embraced the use of the new technology introduced by the Abenian. The significant difference between the Anakata and the Wakatilian was that the Anakata worshipped nothing or anybody and were sex-driven, rude, and self-destructive individuals who lived according to the 48 laws of power. Anakata were reduced to being primarily pain. Prostitute, drug dealer, drug addict, and the like, they did whatever to get a quick buck or Bitcoin. A filthy race of people with no sense of moral, honor, or self-respect didn't believe in bathing or any other practice conducive to maintaining health and cleanliness. However, they always lived near a large population of computants, their bond with the computant was like parasite, living life as scavenger. Bartering was the primary source of living among the Anakata, but they used Bitcoin and other type of cryptocurrency when they had nothing to trade. The cryptocurrency was a digital currency created in the early 21st century. It was a primary computer file-based wallet placed on devices such as a watch, tablet, and even a microchip embedded into their skin. In 2297, many more Abenian had arrived with a mother ship and a fleet of spaceship unannounced. All Abenian appeared human, but something about them confused humanity, they all seemed young and exquisite. Adam Lavas was their chief speaker and seemed to be their leader. A gentle and shy man who always loved to smile, and it was a lovely smile. Adam Lavas was not seen much after the first year of his arrival, and many questioned why, and the answer was often ignored or evaded. The people soon forgot about him and were engulfed by the pleasure this alien race offered them. They were content, and alone there were no problem, they asked no more questions. What is there to worry about when your stomach is always filled, and the things you desire are handed to you? What is there to fear, when healthcare is a thing of the past? What is there to be anxious about, when there are no bills to pay? Do you need a God, when you are content in a place where you do are you, please? Life is a peaceful you want it to be, what kind of savior should you have? When you're not stressed, always happy. What religion do they need, to make things better for an already perfect life? Computant had one rule. Be fruitful and multiply. Women were forced to have a minimum of 8 kids by the age of 35, and men could have whomever, and whatever they wanted, so why get married? When you can have whomever you want, whenever you want. No need for a paradise, when you're already there. 70% of the Earth's inhabitants lived among the alien race a computant, 17% were Anakata, and 13% were people, no one gave a damn about the Wakatilian. 893 years after the Abenian, the construction of all metro was complete, and life was normal again with 10 minus 1, or was it?